They say every building has a story, but some hold memories that refuse to stay quiet. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 28 years old, and in 2021 I moved into a small apartment complex on the east side of Denver. I didn't pick it for the charm. It hardly had any. The place was old, the walls were thin, and the hallways smelled like dust and forgotten time. But rent was cheap, and after losing my job at a travel agency, I needed somewhere to land. I moved into apartment 304 on a warm July afternoon. The first thing I noticed was how still the air felt inside. Not cold, not warm, just waiting, like the apartment had been holding its breath. The first night I heard it, at exactly 3:10 a.m., a faint murmur, like two people having a quiet conversation behind the wall near my bedroom. I thought it was my neighbors, thin walls, old building. It made sense. But when I checked the next day, I learned something unsettling. Both apartments adjacent to mine, 303 and 305, were empty. The voices came again the next night. And the next. Same time. Same soft, steady tone. Always two voices. A man and a woman speaking calmly, rhythmically, like they were discussing something important. At first I tried to brush it off. Old pipes, plumbing, maybe even street noise echoing through vents. But deep down, something felt different. Something felt intentional. And the worst part? Even though the voices were soft, I couldn't understand the words. Not one. As if they weren't speaking to each other, but speaking around me. I didn't know it then, but apartment 304 had a story. One that began long before I ever stepped inside. And the voices were just the beginning. To understand apartment 304, I had to understand the building. The complex was built in 1952, originally serving as short-term housing for nearby factory workers. Over the decades, tenants came and went, the exterior paint faded, and the management changed hands more times than anyone could count. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic. At least that's what I thought, until I met Mr. Hargrove, the building's oldest resident. He'd lived in apartment 102 for 41 years, a quiet man with silver hair and patient eyes, the kind of person who notices everything but rarely speaks unless spoken to. One afternoon I gathered enough courage to ask him about the voices. He stared at me for a long moment before responding. "You hear them at 3:10 a.m.?" he asked. The question made my stomach drop. "Yes," I whispered, "you know about that." He nodded slowly. People used to talk about it before they stopped. I pressed him for more, and he finally told me the story. In 1981, apartment 304 was home to a couple, Daniel and Marjorie Owens. They were quiet, private, and rarely interacted with other tenants. No arguments, no police visits, nothing that would raise suspicion. But one night everything changed. Neighbors reported hearing hours of muffled conversations from inside 304, steady, calm, almost rehearsed. The next morning, the couple was found dead in their living room. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no known medical conditions. The official cause, simultaneous cardiac arrest. Doctors called it impossible. Investigators called it strange. Residents called it cursed. The apartment stayed empty for years. Every time a new tenant moved in, they left within months, some within weeks. But no one ever said why. No one filed complaints. No one left notes. They just left. Mr. Hargrove's voice grew soft as he finished. "I don't know what happened in that room," he said, "but whatever it was, it stayed. Once I knew the apartment's history, everything changed. The voices no longer felt random. They felt purposeful. Every night at 3:10 a.m. they returned. A man and a woman, the same tone every time. Calm, almost soothing, but impossible to understand. I bought an audio recorder and set it beside the wall. When I played the recording in the morning, the sound shocked me. The voices were clear, but still in a language I had never heard. Not European, not Asian, not indigenous, nothing familiar. It sounded like a structured language. Consonants, rhythm, sentence patterns, but from nowhere on earth. I showed the recording to a linguistics professor at the university where I worked part-time. After listening, he frowned. "This isn't a language," he said quietly. "It's the structure of a language, like someone mimicking the pattern of speech without actual words." That night, I sat awake in the dark waiting for 3:10 a.m. When the voices began, I placed my hand on the wall. And the wall felt warm, Not slightly warm, human body warm, as if someone stood on the other side, inches from me. I whispered, trembling. "Who are you?" The voices paused. For the first time in weeks, the steady rhythm broke. Then they whispered back, a single phrase, a single moment, and this time I understood the words. "We're still here." I froze. Tears filled my eyes. Every instinct told me to run, but something pinned me in place, and fear, fascination, I don't know. The next night the voices changed again. This time they sounded distressed. The man's voice lower, the woman's voice trembling. Their tone had urgency, like they were trying to warn me. I hit the wall gently. "What do you want?" The woman's voice rose, fast, sharp, fearful. Then came the sound that haunts me most, a rapid knocking from inside the wall, like someone trapped behind it. I backed away slowly, breath shaking. This wasn't conversation. It wasn't replay. It wasn't memory. It was presence. Something, or someone, inside apartment 304 wanted to be heard. And then came the final night. At 3:10 a.m. the voices started as usual, then suddenly went silent, a long suffocating pause. And then, from right behind the wall, inches from my ear, a low whisper said, "Don't stay." That was the last night I ever slept there. I moved out the next morning. The landlord didn't ask why. He didn't even look surprised. It's been 2 years since I left apartment 304. I sleep better now, most nights. But sometimes, out of nowhere, I wake up at 3:10 a.m. No voices. Just silence, which somehow feels worse. I've spoken with former tenants of the building. Many refused to talk, but the few who did told me the same thing. They heard the voices too. They just never understood them. Some say the Owens couple isn't haunting the apartment. They're stuck in it, trapped in a loop, repeating the last calm moments they shared before something took both their lives. Others believe the voices aren't the Owens at all, but something older, something connected to the land long before the building existed. Me? I don't know what I believe anymore, but I'll never forget the last thing they said to me. "Don't stay." I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I had ignored them. Would the voices have gotten louder? Would I have disappeared like the couple in 1981? Would the apartment have taken me too? Some questions don't need answers, and some doors, they're better left closed, especially the one marked 304.